All right. So we are good to go. So welcome viewers who are here on Zoom and our listeners on Bharat FM and our viewers on live on Facebook. This is our show called Rubaru, which is coming from Bharat FM, the radio channel where it's Bajega Bharat or Jhumega Bharat. So before we start, I would like to all our listeners to listen to our jingle. So let me play the jingle for all our listeners to hear it.
This is Bharat FM.
Bajega Bharat, Jhumega Bharat.
ये है भारत FM.
Bajega Bharat, Jhumega Bharat.
Welcome. So today our guest on Rubaru is Veena Grandhi, who is a dietitian. And as you must have read on Facebook, the details about her, let me go over that one more before I let Veena speak. So Veena Grandhi is a registered dietitian nutritionist with a master's degree in nutrition from Kent State University in Kent, Ohio. Currently, Veena has a private practice in the Cincinnati area and provides nutrition counseling for individuals of all ages and medical conditions who seek wellness through nutrition and lifestyle modifications. In particular, she provides consultative services in collaboration with gastroenterologists in TriHealth Digestive Institute to assist in the management of various GI disorders. She specializes in the nutritional management of IBS and Celiac disease. Besides her consulting practice, Veena is part of the TriHealth Corporate Health Department, Worksite Wellness service called Preventive Health Systems. She is part of a team of experts who deliver comprehensive wellness programs customized to the company's goals and needs. Veena, welcome to this program and thank you very much for coming to this show.
Thank you so much. I am just so honored to be here. Actually, thank you so much for inviting me. And I want to first give a shout out to all my friends, family, and the community who are joining me here right now. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's go ahead and get started and hear about your journey. So before we start, what is a dietitian? Like, how would you explain? Like when I say dietitian, what comes to your mind? I mean, could you let our listeners know?
Sure, yeah. So a dietitian really should be an expert in the nutritional aspect of foods and health and promoting good health. So the American Dietetic Association, it's an organization that governs and regulates all these the dietitians and their scope of practice. So a dietitian, when you go to, they have varied roles. So there are clinical dietitians who are mostly in hospitals. There are corporate dietitians who do wellness for corporations. You have outreach dietitians, you have social you have dietitians in different spheres. So, and they all teach you good health, good healthy nutrition.
Thank you, Veena. So, how is this different from the various weight loss programs that we hear about? What is the difference between being a dietitian and a weight loss program, so-called doctor or whatever it is? How do you differentiate?
Okay, yeah. That's a good question. Actually, there's kind of a lot of confusion because there's so many terminologies that are used. There's a nutritionist, there's a dietitian, there is a wellness coach, and so I think a lot of it is lost in translation. But the weight loss programs usually should be governed by laws, by the say a dietetic association. So they should have a backing of either a doctor or a dietitian. As far as being a dietitian and practicing in these various arenas, I think you need to be registered. So there is a particular exam that you go through. You have to have a doctoral degree. When I went on this journey, a master's degree with some internships and an exam got you to there, and then you need to do continuing medical education to stay in practice.
Okay. So before we move further, I just wanted to let our viewers on Zoom know that by default you are muted. But if you have any question or if you want to talk to Veena, please make sure that you use the chat option, which is at the bottom of your window. And towards the end, we will have a session of question and answer with Veena, where you can directly talk to her. So please use that option. So Veena, as we mentioned that we will be talking about your journey, tell us a little bit about your childhood. Where were you born and how was your childhood? And if there is anything that you remember that you would like to share with our listeners and viewers.
Okay. I grew up in India. So my parents, my dad was an army officer. He was general in the army. So as an army brat, as we were called, we moved around a lot. We never really stayed in one place. I was born in Pune, and then Delhi, I spent a lot of my time, but then we went to Punjab, we went to Rajasthan, we went to Jammu Kashmir, we went to the East Coast, the Bengal, the East Coast. So I grew up in a lot of different areas, but for the most part, I can say I grew up in Delhi. That's where I did majority of my schooling. And I was an athlete. I was always into track and field. So if people were listening or interested in track and field in the 70s, they would have probably known about what we do there. But apart from that, when my onward journey, I went on to do my undergrad in Sophia College in Ajmer. That's where I started doing food sciences, so food chemistry, really, because I was really interested in being in track and field, and the nutrition was horrible when we went for all these events. It was really needing some kind of help. So I went on that journey. I did my undergrad there at Sophia College in Ajmer. And then after that, I went on to do a postgrad. It was a diploma in Mumbai at the Institute of Hotel Management and Applied Nutrition, which was known as the Thangam Philip. I'm not sure if people know that, but it's in Dadar. So I did that there. And after that, I think on my journey to come here to the US to kind of do my master's and get registered as a dietitian, before that, I worked at a company in India. It was one of the pioneer companies that opened up at that time for weight loss. It was called Sherry Lewis. I'm not sure if anybody is aware of those, but I worked with them for a little bit, and then came on over to the US, where I did my master's degree at Kent State and in Kent, Ohio. And I got registered and have been practicing since 89.
All right.
As a dietitian,
So any incidents from childhood or your days in India where you got inspired or motivated towards the career that you have right now? Can you relate something, or can you share something related to that, if you remember?
Well, I think it was a journey. I don't think there was any one particular moment that I, felt like, oh, I need to do this. I think it was a journey right from when I started my track and field, as I said, and then pursuing food sciences and food chemistry. It just built one. And then I can say the particular turning point for when I really wanted to come here and pursue it to a higher degree was probably when at the college of in Mumbai. This was my professor, she was my mentor, and she was an amazing, very fascinating, amazing lady that I still, remember her words and how inspiring she was. And she is the one who I would say propelled me to kind of, make my way here. Her Dr. Susie Epen.
Okay.
I still remember her. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but she, some people you just don't forget.
That's right.
And
That's right.
yeah, when she had so much impact on my life there, she motivated me, she steered me, she guided me, and she actually I had no idea about America. I mean, I had no concept because I did not have anybody in this part of the country, in this part of the world rather.
Oh, okay, okay.
So she kind of guided me, and I used her as my, mentor and driving force to kind of do this. And of course, my dad.
Right.
Had vision.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct in saying that there is that one person that you
Yes.
meet in life that changes your life all the way, and I think that's your teacher, as you mentioned. So.
Yes.
So Veena, tell us that because you have spent your time in India and then you have spent your time over here in the US,
Mm-hmm.
What difference do you see as far as when it comes to dietitian or weight loss? I mean, basically dietitian, not weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
But as
Mm-hmm.
a dietitian, how do you see, what difference do you see, first of all, if there is any? And how would you compare them if you have to?
I wouldn't say I would be able to compare because, to be fair, I'd never really worked as a registered dietitian practitioner out there. I did work very briefly for a year at Sherry Lewis as a nutritionist because there were no governing guidelines there for dietitians. But I feel it's fairly similar. They do have guidelines that the same way we do. They have an Indian Dietetic Association, like we have the American Dietetic Association. In fact, I get a lot of guidance and inspiration from one of my really close friends there, who is also a dietitian. We both went to school together, and she is doing really well in Mumbai. She's Anjali Mukherjee. So she, I look at her journey, and it's been fantastic, amazing. So I feel a lot of similarities in that. I'm not sure how diverse a dietitian out there, whether they do have corporate dietitians, whether they do have, wellness outreach dietitians, whether they have, we have in the different programs, the federal program, the WIC program for women, infant, and children. You have dietitians here, not sure whether they have. So I wouldn't really be able to talk to that because I didn't spend that much time as a dietitian in India.
Okay. So thank you very much for sharing that. So Veena, the next question that I would have is like, how to build immunity with everyday nutrition? Would you like to share something on that?
That's a great question, actually, because in this time when COVID has hit, I think everybody is so worried about contact or getting infected that I think immunity building is probably uppermost in their minds today. When you look at us, even without coronavirus around, our body is constantly in a battle, right? We're constantly in a battle with the viruses, with the bacteria out there. So it's us against the environment, and whoever wins that gets to control your health.
That's right.
Correct? So the whole point is we want to win the battle every single time, right? And for that, we want to build our immunity. But what's really, really interesting is that our body is amazing. It's got the best immune system ever. It can wait. It's a fantastic system that we have. However, we need to fuel it right. We need to give it the raw materials to allow it to do its job.
Correct.
That's what we lack. We don't allow ourselves to fuel our bodies right, and we expect it to be there for us. We can't. We have to fuel it right. And when you look at that, now we're talking about, hand washing, masks, and, that's all from the outside. How do we get it in the inside? Mm-hmm. And there are lots of different nutrients that you can talk about. But I personally, when I talk to my clients about building nutrition, I look at three major nutrients that I look at. One, which all of us know, the vitamin C, really common, very, very, everybody knows that build. We are going to have vitamin C, build nutrition. It gives you better skin. It helps, defend you. So bone health, it's a miracle vitamin. So, but what's interesting is that we only need about 75 to 100 milligrams a day of that. Okay. 2 oranges and you're done, boom, you get your vitamin C. So it's fairly easy to get your vitamin C to keep your immunity up. What about the other nutrients? There are 2 that I feel are really important. One is vitamin D. Now, it's always been touted for bone health. We need vitamin D to keep our bones strong. That has always been said. Everyone keeps telling us that. But that's not the only thing vitamin D does. It definitely does that in part, but it also helps us modulate our immune response. If we do not provide our body with vitamin D, our immune responses are not adequate. Research has shown with deficiency of vitamin D, they are more susceptible for autoimmune diseases. You're more susceptible to getting infections. Okay. But now, how do you get vitamin D?
Sunlight.
Right? How do you get vitamin D?
Is sunlight one of the options?
Yes, Mr. Sun is there. However, we are blessed with brown skin.
That's true.
We are blessed with brown skin, and Mother Nature is taking care of us so that we cannot absorb much of that. We do not, it's protecting us. We've got so much of pigment that it doesn't allow us to absorb adequately. Mm-hmm. So what do? As it is in India, you're not allowed to go out into the sun. Okay, that's a whole different story, but everyone doesn't want to get dark. Yeah. But, that's a whole different story. But even if you do, you do not absorb adequately. Mm-hmm. So what else can you do? People who eat who are non-vegetarian, they can get it very easily with fatty fishes like the tuna, the salmon. Fatty fish is a big, good source of vitamin D. So that, boom, you get it done. What happens to vegetarians? Vegetarians need to look at fortified things, anything that is fortified. So you have fortified milk. Even if you are a non-dairy person, you can do the fortified soy milk. And there are products like tofu and tempeh, they're all made from fortified soy products. So that might be something that you want to definitely include in your diet. And apart from that, mushrooms, a great provider of vitamin D. But if you feel that you are not getting adequate vitamin D, definitely a supplement is probably a good option.
Okay.
Supplementation is a good option if you feel you're not, especially vegans who, may not be having that soy products every day. They may just not do it and may not get adequate vitamin D. So at this point, I think for them, they would want to look at the option of supplementation. And only thing that I say about supplementation, go for a good supplement. Look for, it'll be called vitamin D3. It's the vitamin D3. That is the natural form of vitamin that we are able to synthesize with the sunlight coming on to us. That's the natural form. So try and get pure vitamin D3 to, do that. So that's where you get vitamin D. The third nutrient that I look for immunity building is zinc.
Zinc. Okay.
Zinc. I know. Zinc. That it really helps to build your immunity. It actually activates what we call the T cells, which are some lymphocyte cells. It activates that and helps to regulate your immune system. So having adequate zinc is really, really important. Now, how do you get zinc as well? Zinc actually, it's not very commonly a deficiency, not very common, because it's prevalent in not only shellfish and meats and everything, but it's also available in beans, in lentils, in nuts and seeds. So you can get adequate zinc. But I would say to build immunity, you really want to look at these three: vitamin C, your vitamin D, and zinc.
Okay.
And that way you keep yourself protected and hopefully can fight off all these infections.
So you mentioned vitamin C, oranges, everybody know. As you mentioned, just 2 oranges a day is good enough for your immune system. But
Correct.
other than oranges, what I have heard is green chili is one of the vitamin C source. Is that true?
It is a good source, but it's unlikely for you to have adequate amount to get, the benefit.
Okay.
It is a good source, but it'll be unlikely for you to eat that much of green chili to be able to get the quantity
Okay.
that you need.
What you get with 2 oranges, you might not get with 1 chili.
No,
Is that what you're saying?
no, definitely not. You probably need a little bit more.
Okay.
It'll be harder for you to do that.
Right. So
Yeah, but you can always do Brussels sprouts, cantaloupes. There's so many every green leafy vegetables. All of them have a little bit of vitamin C in there. So definitely looking at different fruits and vegetables that are vitamin C rich, and it's easy to get vitamin C.
So I'm assuming that you would advise people during these times where, due to COVID-19, we are very, very concerned about our immune system. And you would definitely advise people to follow these suggestions that you just mentioned about vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc, correct?
I think that's important. I would strongly recommend trying to look and see whether you are eating a variety of things that will provide you with these elements, these nutrients. That would be my suggestion.
Okay. So my next question is about the anti-inflammatory properties of certain herbs like turmeric and ginger. How do they help? And what recommendation would you have?
Okay, sure. Yeah, they're really good. Actually, it's part of immunity building as well. So when you look at what happens if you get infected, any part, like there's an inflammation in your body. Mm-hmm. Your body has an inflammation. So with these anti-inflammatory herbs and spices, you try and take those in so that you can fight off that inflammation and get probably provide your body with a lot better nutrients to fight that infection.
Okay.
So turmeric it's actually gaining a lot of popularity right now. Curcumin is actually the element in turmeric that is important, is the anti-inflammatory agent. So what I always say is, I know we in India put haldi, turmeric in everything. Right? In everything. However, we don't really put enough in to get what we need. Say each person needs at least half to 1 teaspoon of turmeric a day.
Okay.
Okay, to get that anti-inflammatory property.
Okay.
So what I do and what I recommend is I call it a shot of good health, and it's kind of tasty too. So I take just an ounce or 2 of water, and I put half a teaspoon of haldi in it. I put some pepper. Now, it's interesting because if you have haldi without pepper, it's not going to be absorbed by your body. Isn't that interesting?
Okay.
That's very interesting. Yes. You need a dash of pepper because the component in pepper enables your body to uptake what's there in turmeric.
Okay.
Okay. So you do half a teaspoon of haldi with a dash of pepper. I put some lime, a squeeze of lime into it, and a little bit of salt, just to take away that little, sour taste.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and that's just a shot of good health.
okay. So with that, something came to my mind. I thought I'll ask you that. Growing up, my mom, like usually she used to do is like before we go to bed, she used to put turmeric in milk, and she used to give it to us, all me and my siblings. And after a while, I heard from people that it depends whether the milk is hot or cold. I don't know, still till date, I don't know what is the difference, how it is different, and what are the benefits or disadvantages of doing one way or the other.
Okay,
Is there some?
that's interesting because we milk was given to kids, and turmeric was put in it. So the turmeric part is for the age-old custom of putting it, but it had some merit because it's an anti-inflammatory. But the milk was for a different reason.
Correct.
Milk, when somebody has milk, it releases the chemicals that it releases. It gives you sleep. It lets you sleep better.
Okay.
That allows you to sleep. That's what it provides for you. So that's why the milk was given at that time.
Okay.
But so they were for two different reasons, but
okay.
that's how they probably
But does
incorporated
the
both.
cold milk or warm milk, does that matter at all? I mean, is there any difference between?
I wouldn't say they would, warm milk was probably more soothing to the kid, but I wouldn't say chemically it
any difference
created any difference.
Okay.
Any difference, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then you asked me about ginger.
Yes.
I know that I love having ginger, as an anti-inflammatory as well. And the way I advise my clients to do it is to add it to like an herbal tea.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you have, or there's another, if you don't want to add it with your tea, apple cider. Mm-hmm. You take apple cider, you put some turmeric in it, you put some ginger in it, you put some lemon peel in it, and a pinch of pepper.
Okay.
And you warm it up, strain it, and then have it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So that it gives you a lot. That's another good way to have ginger. It's soothing, it's warm, and it's healthful.
Yeah, that's a very good advice. So while you were talking, something that came to my mind, that I like raw garlic, and my family hates me for that.
Okay.
But my parents, they have always told me that it is very good for health. It is very good for your heart. Now, how much truth is there in that?
Garlic, as far as herbs and spices, I have mixed reviews on that because I deal with IBS a lot. And garlic is one of the biggest culprits as a trigger for IBS.
Okay.
So there's a plus and minus in my opinion. It's helpful probably. It does provide that, but it does, it has a downside as well for some people.
One question, it might be stupid. What does IBS stands for?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I should have said that. It's irritable bowel syndrome. So yeah, it's just irritation of your bowel.
Oh, okay. So
and sometimes it's of no known origin. There's no known origin. Okay. It's just an irritable bowel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to try and find reasons why. What are your triggers that actually impact that symptom?
Okay. All right.
I have a question here on the chat box, which I'd like to. I know we talked about vitamin D,
sure.
And somebody has asked, Shweta has asked, I think.
Would you unmute her so that she can directly ask you the question instead?
Sure.
All right. Let me unmute Shweta. Go ahead, Shweta.
Hey, Veena.
Hey.
Just a quick question. When you talked about vitamin D, taking the supplement, what dosage would you recommend?
Well, I always recommend when you're taking a supplement, if you do go to your primary care, do run that by them, because there's always interactions with if you're having other medications. So never start anything without that. But on that said, the recommended allowance daily dosage is 800 to 1,000 international units.
Okay.
So, that's probably the daily dosage that you take. There's no point taking more than 2,000 because it won't give you any added benefit. It might give you some GI upset.
Okay.
So sticking the recommended RDA, what they call recommended daily allowance, is between 800 to 1,000 international units.
Okay.
So yeah, you can look at that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Shweta. So I think there is a question from another listener, Rati. Rati, I'll unmute you so that you can ask Veena your question.
All right. Veena, I kind of typed my question in.
I know, I was trying to read it.
What I'm saying is, there's, people say, well, fasting, at least today, fasting is seen to be really important in order to give your cells the rest it needs so that the cells can continue to do their work. And yet, plus, I think most nutritionists recommend that we eat frequently in small.
So that's a really good question. There are always different thought processes and different reasonings. And intermittent fasting is what I think you're talking about. It has a lot of incredible, incredibly good research on, pointing to the wide range of benefits. It's been around for a really, really long time. It's not new, but just like in weight loss, the pendulum swings, right? Right now, intermittent fasting is on the rise. It is very popular, but because it's been around for so long, it has a lot of good science behind it, in my opinion. It's not only good for weight loss, it definitely helps, reduce the chances of getting diabetes or improving your insulin resistance if you already have diabetes. It helps with heart health. So it's really, really beneficial. And since you asked, I would like to, if you'd like me to, explain to you what exactly happens. I feel like once you understand what exactly is happening, you might choose the correct plan for yourself. Okay, so I don't feel intermittent fasting is really a diet per se. It is a manipulation of time. Okay, it's more a manipulation of time. So you want to see what really is happening in your body. So when you eat food, your body, you have the macros and all the food, proteins, carbs, and fats. Your body typically will use sugar. It's the easiest form of energy for your body. So it'll use the sugar first, and it'll store some sugar for a little later on in your liver, and then it has the fat cells too for even later on. So what happens during intermittent fasting, say you eat, and they have different forms of intermittent fasting. So let me tell you that first. So they have what they call the 5-2 diet. 5-2 diet is you eat regularly 5 days, and 2 non-consecutive days you fast. Now, there are different schools on that as well. Some people fast like total fast. They don't eat anything. Some people eat between 300 to 500 calories on those 2 days. Okay. Then another form is alternate day fasting. So you eat one day, you don't eat one day, you eat one day. So, and then apart from these, you have what they call 16-8 diet. Now, 16-8 diet is when you eat within an 8-hour period and you give yourself 16 hours of fasting. So you can do 7 to 3, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 10 to 6, whatever your 8-hour period, as long as it ends before 7 o'clock in the evening, that 8-hour period, and you fast the rest of the 16 hours. Now, what is really happening? As I said, when you take in food, sugar is broken down as energy. Some sugar is stored in your liver as glycogen for a little later use, and there are fat cells as well. So once you stop eating, after 3 or 4 hours, your body will start using the glycogen stores that was stored in the liver. Now you go a little extended period of time, now it doesn't have that glycogen. So what does it do? The next best thing for it to do is to break down the fats. So the longer you stay fasting, it'll need the fats to be broken down. So that's like you start getting ketone bodies. It's kind of a similar process as the keto diet, except you do not have to restrict your diet the way keto diet is going on. It's the same concept that ketosis happens. So fat cells are releasing ketones for you to use, and that's how you lose the weight. So if you can stay 16 hours, ketosis will start happening. However, you have to, within that 8-hour period, also have caloric values that are appropriate for your body. You want to be having 5 fruits and vegetables every day. You want to be staying away from all the processed foods. You want to be limiting, all fried and, trans fats that come up every day. So everything goes together. I feel the 16-8 seems like, in my opinion, when most of my clients find that more of a sustainable diet. You eat for 8 hours, fast for 16 hours, but it is your call. Now, I always advise, choose something that you will find sustainable. If you feel this is transient, I can do this I'll just do this till I lose 5 pounds. Your weight loss is going to be transient as well. Mm-hmm. So if you cannot keep it as a lifestyle, don't start it.
And is 7 o'clock a must, or can it go later, your 8-hour cycle?
I feel that is the 8-hour cycle. We say 7 because the circadian cycle, our bodies innately are governed by that. We are governed by day night. Right. And our body metabolism slows down as the night progresses. So the more you push it into the night hours, the slower your metabolism is, the less likely you are to get into ketosis.
Okay. And is there the ketosis, the supplements that you get, the ketone supplements, are they good, or should one avoid them because they're processed too?
I'm not sure what ketone supplements they are, because the ketones you want, the idea is not, ketone is not a product. Ketone is what you want to get out of your fat. You want to metabolize your fat. And that's the ketone you want. Because if you don't metabolize your fat, there's no point.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? The fat, when you break down fat, it leads to ketones.
Yeah.
So if you don't get your fats to break down, your point of weight loss is lost.
Right. That's incredible. Thank you, Veena. That you answered that question beautifully. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But yeah, it is different from a lot of the diets that we say eat frequently. That's a different school of thought.
But does that work too? That works well, doesn't it?
It works for some. That's why I said you need to choose a plan that you think you can sustain. If you cannot sustain it, it doesn't matter how good it is. It has to be something that you can keep doing day after day after day, and it's not something that you can do for 5 days or 1 month or 3 months. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work that way.
Right. Thank you. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Rati, for your question. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Veena, do you want to move to the next question from the viewers?
It's whichever way you wanted to handle that. Yes.
Okay. So who do you want me to unmute next?
I think Trupti has a question.
Okay, Trupti, I'm unmuting you, so you can go ahead with your question next. You will have, yeah, there should be a.
Yep, I got it. Yeah. Thanks, Veena. And I surely am getting my natural vitamin D as I'm listening to you speak. But as you saw my comment, can you talk a little bit about fish oils, the supplement, especially for us vegetarian and perimenopausal women? Like, is it truly effective, necessary to take, or is it just something that I'm getting mixed reviews from doctors, trainers, nutritionists? So if you could talk about that, please.
Sure. Yeah, vegetarianism definitely gaining popularity now. You know, people are going vegetarian for various reasons. Of course, some have always been vegetarian, but I think the common factor of people who are going vegetarian is to for their health benefits, you know, heart health, to decrease diabetes, just to name a few. So there are various kinds of vegetarians, and the reason I'm bringing this up, Trupti, is because we want to talk about, you know, a little bit about vegetarianism as well, and I will definitely address your question right there.
Sure.
But there are so many different forms of vegetarianism. You have the lacto-vegetarian, you have the ovo-vegetarian that only eats eggs and nothing else. Then you have the lacto-ovo-vegetarians, you have the pescatarians, and you have the vegans. So there are a wide array of vegetarians out here. But when somebody embarks on a journey towards vegetarianism, say if they've not been a vegetarian all their life, they're going on, I definitely try to ask them to look at a few components of nutrition. And one of it is the fish oils as well. So when you look at the omega-3s, then I'll address that first since she has asked that question. It's hard. It's hard to get omega-3 fatty acids as a vegetarian. Now, especially a vegan or only, you know, it's really hard to do that because you get a lot of your fish oils, a lot of these oils from fish. The fatty fish is the one. So pescatarians are fine. The fat, you know, eggs, you get it from eggs as well. It is present in soy products, in canola oil, in walnuts, in flax seeds, chia seeds. So you can get it from there, but the bioavailability of these oils from vegetarian sources is very low. So even though you can eat it and get something out of it, but it's not as bioavailable. It's not converted for the human body. It's not converted well enough. So you really need to look at supplementation, I feel. I feel a supplement for most vegetarians is a really good option.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say, you know, and then you asked me about for premenopausals, actually, you know, as far as that goes, I feel what happens during premenopausal stage, the estrogen levels, you know, the hormonal levels are changing, right? So you want to eat foods that kind of try and balance those hormones. Okay, so the foods that have really good estrogen-like components are soybean. So you eat soybeans, chickpeas, lentils. All those have amazing properties to build estrogen levels. So that you can have as less an effect of a premenopause, of the hot flashes that you might be talking about. As well as insomnia. Like, you know, a lot of people that go through menopause have a lot of insomnia. What do you do? What do you do? Eat walnuts, have tart cherry juice. All these have like a melatonin kind of effect on you. They actually have melatonin in there. So it allows you to sleep better.
Does fish oil necessarily help in any of the
I would not.
menopausal?
I would not put it as a beneficial thing for
Got it.
menopause. I would put that more because of being a vegetarian.
Got it. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and just getting back to the vegetarianism, there are other components, other nutrients that I would like to emphasize for people who are vegetarian. Vitamin D, again, we already talked about vitamin D, but vitamin D is really important to look at. How do you get that? That also is very easy to get with fatty fish, not as easy to get with any vegetarian source. So definitely looking at fortified products, as well as if you feel you do not take enough every day of these fortified products, please look at options of supplementation. They're great. That's a great option. Another big vitamin that is overlooked for vegetarians is vitamin B12. Now, B12, it's found exclusively in animal products, right? It's exclusively in animal products. So it is needed. We need B12 to produce our red blood cells. We need it. It's a very, very important factor. So you can see a lot of vegetarians sometimes have fatigue, tired, the anemia may not show up because it could be masked, because there are a lot of reasons for that. I'm not sure how in depth to go with this, but it's important to look and see whether or not you are B12 deficient. If you're B12 deficient, having a supplement is a great idea. You want to look at that for sure.
Okay. Thank you, Trupti, for your question. I hope you got your answer. Thank you. So Veena, one of the questions that just came to my mind is microgreens and sprouting. How do you, what is the difference? How are they different?
Okay, yeah, that's a whole different, yeah. Microgreens and sprouting, both of them actually, they really pack a punch. They have an arsenal of good flavors and nutrients. I would say I call microgreens vegetable confetti. That's what I call it, because they're amazing. Though people talk of them synonymously, they kind of use one versus the other. They're two. The whole process is different. So microgreens, they are started from the seed, but they're planted in the soil, let it germinate, and you eat the stems and the leaves. Okay. So it takes about a few weeks to get these microgreens to grow. Great, they pack at least 3 to 30 times the nutrients of a mature plant. So they're fantastic. They're fantastic. Now they're being used in every restaurant as garnishes. They're being put in smoothies. They're being put in everything because they really have a lot of nutrition in those little leaves on those little stems out there. Sprouts, on the other hand, they germinate in water. You kind of rinse them, and in 2 to 4 days, you have these sprouty things coming out of seeds. I have little reservation on the sprouting because there's a high risk of bacterial growth in sprouts, high risk. So what happens when sprouts start to germinate? They actually activate the enzyme that breaks up the macros, that helps break up the macros that's in the seed, like in the carbs, the protein, the fats that are in the seed. That enzyme helps break it up, and that's why it is easier on your stomach to digest. Okay. But you'll find that some people still have a problem with it. I feel it's not because of the nutrients. It is probably an infected or bacterial growth in the sprout itself. It's very easy to get bacterial contamination. That's why you'll notice that a lot of the grocery stores will not carry sprouts. They don't carry it
Right.
It's a food hazard.
Right.
It's hard to keep without bacteria. So I always recommend, once you sprout, do blanch it in hot water.
Okay. Okay.
You know, that takes away the negative effect of the possibility of having a bacterial contaminant in there.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, they're both very good ways to improve your nutrition. The only one thing that they don't provide you is fiber.
Oh,
Now, if you do want fiber, you have to have the mature plant.
that's right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it does pack a good punch with all the vitamins and the nutrients and everything. But, you know, if you want fiber, you got to go to the mature plant.
Okay. All right. So moving a little bit away from the knowledge around being a dietitian, what has your journey been as far as your family is concerned? How have they
Oops.
helped you in,
What is that?
in your journey towards becoming a dietitian?
How did I lose you?
Oh, did you lose me?
Yep.
I can hear you.
I know, I can hear you too. I can't see you, but that's fine.
Do you see a Zoom button at the bottom of your laptop?
That's fine.
Or just do an
Post
Alt tab.
attendee.
Can you do Alt tab on your laptop?
Yeah.
Did that work?
No.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to join again. Let's see if I can join it again.
Actually, no, don't do anything. As long as you are okay with not seeing the screen
Okay.
talking, it is perfectly fine. We can hear you, we can see you, so you're good.
Oh yeah. Okay, perfect.
Okay. So what I was asking is, how would you share your experience about your family, how they have inspired you or how they have guided you in your journey of becoming a dietitian? And how is your experience at home when certain times there are things that you would say as a dietitian and not as a family member? How do they respond back?
Interesting. Yeah. It's been a journey. It has been a journey. I think the most trying times were when my kids were little, growing up. You know, I had to consciously not be dietitian at home because, you know, kids like to eat stuff that is not very nutritious all the time. And it's okay. And it's okay. As long as for the most part, you educate them and steer them towards what is the right way.
Right.
So yeah, when growing up, my daughter was the one who would always just tell me, it's horrible, Mom. It's horrible. Everything is healthy, healthy, healthy. Can't we just not do this?
Uh-huh.
So I guess, you know, in a way that kind of guided me a little bit.
Okay.
But I think as they've grown, they have become nutritionists themselves.
Okay.
They will not allow stuff in the house that, you know, they just don't. They are fantastic eaters. They both of them cook. And when they do grocery shopping, they buy stuff better than what I would buy.
Okay.
So in a way, I think I showed them the way, but they have taken it to another level.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So one curiosity, I would say, what I have personally is, if Veena Grandhi was not a dietitian, what would she be?
Me? I actually wanted, you know, it's crazy, but I wanted to fly planes.
Oh, wow.
And so I did delve into that and dabble in it a little bit, I think. You know, when the kids were littler and I was going through, I would say, some kind of syndrome. But I did learn to fly a plane.
Oh, wow. That's
I know that it was crazy. it was a crazy time, but I did it. It was on my bucket list, I think. And my husband, very supportive, amazingly supportive. We went through that, and I flew planes until I thought, okay, I can't do this forever. So, but yeah, I may have been a pilot.
Okay, okay. Well, Sankhya here is saying that never flew with you though. So do you
What is?
do you still do that once in a while? Like, do you have the license to do that?
No, no, I did not keep it current. I wish, but it was, it was getting too hard to do with the kids, and because you have to be safe. You
Right,
really want to be flying often enough.
right, right.
I was crazy, but not stupid. I really, I think I really needed to stop because I was not being able to fly enough to be safe.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we are just 5 minutes away from the end of the show. And before we end, would you like to share something that we might have missed during this conversation and you would really like all our listeners and viewers to know about it?
Actually, somebody had asked about Indian foods, the carb content, and I thought maybe they might ask me, while we are on here. But since they haven't, they wanted to know, Indian foods seem heavy into carbs.
Mm-hmm.
How can we make them better?
Right.
So I just wanted to briefly address it.
Sure.
We have rice eaters, roti eaters, we've got idlis, dosas. Everything points towards a high carb intake.
Right.
You are able to modify each one of these.
Right.
Adding fiber. I always, guide my clients towards two things: fiber and protein.
Mm-hmm.
These two are your best friends.
Right.
So try and add fiber in there, because no matter what the carb is, if it has fiber, it will not allow you to have a blood sugar spike, which is the cause of most problems. As you let your blood sugar spike, and the more frequently you allow your blood sugar to spike, that's a problem. Okay. So incorporating flaxseed, or maybe ragi instead of regular flour, just whole grain things that you might add into dosas or idlis or roti. If you can add flaxseed flour in your roti, you can put chia seeds in there. You can, add more lentils rather than having rice and lentil in your dosas. Add more lentil in it. So just increasing fiber is what I want to emphasize here. Just try and increase fiber, and that should be adequate to make your Indian foods more helpful.
So let me unmute Sankhya. She has a question for you. Sankhya, go ahead. You are muted, Sankhya. Sorry. You should receive a pop-up on your screen asking you to unmute. Yes, now you're good. Can't hear you. I think you need to use your headphones if your microphone is in your headphones. Yeah. If you are connected with your headphones, can't hear you yet. Sorry. Okay, I will go ahead and ask that question. So what Sankhya asked is, do dals help?
Yeah, the lentils, is that what she's talking about? Dals help for what? Is there a question?
Yes, yes.
Dals are definitely a very, very nutritious component of a vegetarian diet. It has, it's packed with proteins. It does have a lot of carbs. However, if you are having the whole dals, those are the ones that have the higher fiber. So eating that may be better than regular. the processed ones. So yeah, dal is a great addition to most, vegetarian foods, my vegetarian cuisines.
Thank you, Sankhya, for your question. Yeah. Veena, while you were talking about this, you mentioned roti and rice, right? There's a big fight in my house when I keep talking about one way or the other. Like I say, roti is better than rice. And my wife is a registered nurse as well. And she keeps telling me that it does not matter. It totally depends on your diet, on how much you eat is what matters, not what exactly you eat.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you eat roti or rice, it should not matter. Now, would you like to throw some light on that?
Sure, I think she's absolutely correct. Unfortunately, I know you don't want me to say that, but she is right. I think the only thing I steer people maybe towards roti is because there's accountability. You say you have one roti, whereas rice, it's like how much rice, what is this much rice? There's a hand put out and said, okay, I had little rice. Like there's no quantity being said.
Right.
And it's harder for people to control the quantity of rice. That's why it is, and the glycemic index as well. As long as you can have brown rice, it'll be a little better. Then you won't need to worry about it as much because it has a lot more fiber in it.
Okay.
So another way to do that, if you like rice, I like mixing rice and quinoa.
Okay.
Now, never go cold turkey to mix half and half or whatever. Right. I started out with mixing 25% quinoa with 75% rice. And then, as the week went by, next week I would add just a little more. And now we are almost at 75 quinoa and 25 rice.
Okay.
So it's a gradual process. Your taste buds are phenomenal, have phenomenal adaptation. So just gradually changing it is the way to go.
Okay. Thank you, Veena. We have one last question from Jignasa. So maybe I'll unmute her and she can ask that question. Let me unmute you. Yeah.
Hi, Veena.
Hi.
Just a quick question. And I hear a lot about ghee, pros and cons of ghee. I mean, I think now it's introduced, you find ghee in Costco and Kroger these days. So I'm not sure if it's actually benefiting our heart or not, or is that something we should avoid?
I know there's a lot of different schools of thought, and I know the celebrities are now having ghee as just as a drink. They just drink a shot of ghee. In my professional and personal opinion, I feel it is saturated fat, and saturated fat is not as healthy for your heart as unsaturated fats. However, that being said, it's also the quantity. Are you frying everything in ghee? Then I would say no. If you're just kind of putting it as a little bit of a thing on your roti, it'd be fine. So I feel I have mixed feelings on ghee. I personally feel the heart benefits are not that much with ghee.
Thank you, Veena. I hope, Jignasa, that answers your question. Thank you very much. So with that, we come to an end of our show, and I hope all our listeners and viewers enjoyed all the knowledge that was shared with us by Veena. And Veena, thank you very much for coming on our show. I hope you had a good time. With that, we end our program. And to all our listeners, we would like to let you know that Bharat FM is trying to be a global platform for local talents and local people who wants to share their story with the rest of the world. Because our reach is not limited just to Cincinnati. With our Zoom and the live on Facebook going on, you can basically reach out to any person anywhere in the world. So if you are interested in coming on this show, which is Rubaru, and share your story, please contact us on Facebook page or through our website, bharatfm.com. And please like our Facebook page if you like the content that we are presenting. And we hope to grow along with you, and hoping that you help us grow at the same time. So thank you, Veena, very much once again.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. I hope everybody else did too. But thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you. So I will just end the Facebook stream now. And one more thing I wanted to let everybody know is this recording will be available on our Facebook page under videos. So at any point in time you want to go through this or you want to share this with somebody, please feel free to do that. So thank you very much on that.
Thank you.
All right, I am ending the radio as well. And with that, I will end the Zoom as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.